For those of you that have been following my videos, this one's going to be a little bit of a departure from what I've done in the past. And I hope it will be coming back to the kind of work I've been doing before. But I wanted to give you a little bit of history and maybe go over a couple things that are upcoming and that I've been dealing with. I've only been doing this YouTube thing for a short time, and honestly I never really expected that I was going to be doing this at first. About 6 or 7 years ago I bought the property that this shop is on. I live here as well, and a lot of what I bought this property for is because of this shop building. But at the time, I really didn't have all that much for machinery, tools. I had a few things. I had the welder that you've probably seen in some of the videos. But it was limited, and I had my mechanics tools. I used to work for a used car dealer down in the southern part of the state, a little over 20 years ago. So I had that stuff with me. But nothing really related to machine work. And at first, I wasn't even really thinking of machine work when I bought this. I just, maybe start a welding business or something like that. And I still worked at the bowling center. It was just an open window to do things for the future. But now, as I'm getting older and I'm starting to think about retirement, and I've had a chance to purchase some stuff, things are changing. Some of the background, I've been playing around with 3D printers for quite a while now. I don't really show much of it as far as the 3D printer stuff. Because part of what I'm doing is I'm actually designing a 3D printer of my own design. It's proprietary, so I really can't show it right now. But it's an interest of mine, and I started setting up, for some machine work. It initially just took an interest in it because I wanted to machine parts to build the 3D printers and prototype. I have a lot of interest in engineering and anything related like that. So a lot of it can be 3D printed itself, but there is also metal components that need to be made. And depending on the design, you may have more or less metal in it. Initially I was looking at maybe doing like a home CNC type setup, but things didn't go that way, and I figured it would be easier just to do a regular lathe as a first step, and that's when I came across the Precision Matthews that you've seen me work on, which I'm quite happy with that. It's little things aren't perfect, but for what I was able to do on a limited budget, I'm quite happy with it. It's a good sized machine, and it holds its own. But anyways, next step is I also needed a mill, because a lot of the parts that I work with are not lathe work. And at the time, a real mill was out of my budget. But I had my old drill press, and you've probably seen my video on the conversion, where I converted that to a small mill. And overall, that's actually worked out quite well. I think in many respects, from what I've seen other people do of this type of drill press to mill conversion, I think I've probably done one of the better ones out there. At least that's shown on YouTube. I can't speak for what's not on YouTube because can't see it. But I've been satisfied with it for what it is. And it covers my needs for what I do with the 3D printing, because that's all small stuff. But now I'm starting to think about the future beyond my work at the lanes. And I'm kind of coming to the conclusion that I want to go into machining as an actual business after I'm ready to retire from the lanes. It's easier work as far as stress, for as I get older. And I really don't want to fully retire. I just, eventually I'm going to want to back out from doing work in the bowling center, working on the machines. That's pretty stressful and strenuous. Running in and out of the machines, a lot of crawling inside them and up and down ladders all the time. And it's very fast paced when we have business. Of course, with the COVID thing, all that threw everybody for a loop right now. So now, with that in mind, my little conversion mill, it's good for light stuff, but it's not going to do bigger, serious work if I start bringing in people, work from people from outside. And I'm thinking probably a lot of what I get for business around this area is probably automotive stuff. I'm thinking stuff like, cutting heads down on, for cylinder heads. And there's no way this is going to do that. It's just too small and it's not stable enough. So I was thinking at first, look at the Bridgeports, and I pretty well, I mean, a Bridgeport's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a good starter machine for a lot of people. It's good for a full-size shop that's doing mid-range stuff. But yeah, I watch YouTube just like you guys do. And one of the people I follow is A-Bomb. You're probably familiar with him. I really enjoy watching his videos. He's good with what he does. He doesn't teach in the same manner that Joe does, but he's very hands-on. It's watching his videos. It's almost like being right there and doing it. So it's also a good way to learn. I just enjoy watching what he does there. But one of the things that I picked up on was the mill that he has. I think he does have a Bridgeport clone as well. But most of the time he uses this Kearney and Trecker, which is made by Milwaukee. Me being me and really being interested in the subject, not just watching chips fly, I've been looking at the details of the machine and what it's capable of, the size of it, and realized that I like the capabilities of that machine a little more than a Bridgeport. It's a bigger machine, it's a stronger machine, and it's a bigger step up towards doing serious work for me, where I've got this little mill going up to the Bridgeport. It's a step up, obviously, but it's not a huge step to figure dropping, several $1,000s on a machine. And if I'm going to do this, I want to step up bigger. So I started looking at the Kearney Trekkers and things that are like the Kearney Trekker. And the two that I've really liked the looks of are staying with the Kearney Trekkers, which seem to be a good machine. The other ones I've been looking at are the Cincinnati mills. And there's a lot of different varieties of the Cincinnatis, but there's one that's set up a lot the way that the Kearney Trekker works, where it has both the horizontal and the vertical mill. They use what they call an overarm on it for the vertical milling. And I kind of like that a little better than the Kearney Trekker, just the way that they set it up. And I could be wrong about some of the pluses and minuses on both, because I'm still very new to this. But I did a good bit of reading on it, and it just seems, I think the Cincinnati's a little bit sturdier build. A lot of people say the Kearney Trekkers are a little more flexible and easier to use. On the other hand, they're very difficult to fix, whereas the Cincinnatis are easier to fix if something actually goes wrong in it. So, long story short, I believe I've found a Cincinnati that fits the bill for what I want to do here, for a price that's within reason for what I can do, and looks like we've bought that machine. They're going to have to do a few modifications to it. The guy that I'm buying it from is going to change the voltage on it, so it'll be compatible with what I have available in the shop. I expect that's going to take at least a few weeks for him to do, because one of the motors needs to be rewound. The other one he's going to change out. But long story short, we are looking at having a new machine here, and I probably won't be doing pro work here just yet, but we're kind of heading in that direction. I'm going to be looking for some stuff to practice on, whatever projects I come up with. I've got to learn that particular machine, the ins and outs of it, and dealing with some of the higher precision stuff are on a large table. The little mill here, things weren't that critical. I can get tight tolerance for distances, but that machine doesn't have tramming adjustments on it or anything like that. So I'm going to have to learn all that and get into it. I don't see that it's a problem, but I got to learn it before I can go and say, oh, I'm ready to do business. But a little taste of what's to come, and I'm looking forward to this, and hope that I can share a good bit of this with you. And some of what I'm going to have to do in the meantime, you may have noticed my Fiero here. I've never really talked about it in the past, but this is a project that I did, I don't know, about a little over 10 years ago, I think. About 12 now. I've actually converted this to an electric car. I haven't used it for a while because when I did it with lead acid batteries, which they just don't have a lifespan. It drove great. When the batteries were good, I've had this thing that'll go up to about 72 miles an hour, had more torque than the original gasoline engine, and it was really a fun project to do. And I have video from that, which at some date I'll probably go through all that footage and post it. It's going to be a project just because of the sheer scale of how much video there is and going through the editing of it. But I do want to do that eventually. And I'm hoping at some point to revisit this project. But for now it's on hold because the investment to put new batteries in it, I don't want to do lead again because I've been there and it's short-lived. When I do this again, I want to do it with lithium ion, or if they happen to come out with the solid state batteries by then, but that's not likely. It's probably going to be lithium. I may build my own packs to keep the cost down. But I'm hoping to revisit this. But anyways, in the meantime, it's kind of in the way in the shop. And with this new machine coming, the Cincinnati, this is a big machine. It's a lot bigger than a Bridgeport. So I really need the space. I'm going to plan to put the mill up in this region, up in here. And it's big enough that it's going to encroach into this area. So I need to get the Fiero out. I'm going to put it into another garage that's part of the house. And I'll probably shoot a little bit of video of that tomorrow when I actually drive it out of here on the battery power. I may show a little bit of the inside where the motor is and all that. Let's see, what else? Future plans in here. In addition to the mill, I haven't bought one yet, but I think it's in the near future that I probably will also get a bandsaw. That's very high on my list at this point. If I'm going to be doing serious machine work, especially not so much working on existing parts for other people, but if I do any kind of tooling work or manufacturing, that type of thing, I'm going to need a good bandsaw for that. I mean, I've got a little tiny one, but it's just meant for wood. I can't use it for metal. Let's see, what else? I do have a little bit of a woodworking shop. I'll just browse you through that. I've got the saw here, which it may show up in a video that I'm currently editing. Just I was cutting some plastic on it, no big deal there. But this is my woodworking area. I did post a little bit on my dust collection system. This is currently getting revised to some extent. The Cyclone is going to stay here, but if you notice the pipes up here, I'm working on plumbing this out. I've moved the blower, has gone in my compressor room, which let's get a look in here. So this is my compressor room. I hope I'm shooting this good because I don't have the video right on me where I can see it. But yeah, the blower unit or vacuum unit is up there, and it blows out of the building at this point, and I just have it plumbed to the wall. And I'm going to be running ductwork that comes over here with a drop line that goes down to the power saw, and I'm going to be taking the 6-inch line and I'm going to be running it all the way down the end here, which I'm going to set that up for 2 reasons that I'm running it down here. One is I do some automotive work in here, mostly for me, sometimes for friends and relatives. So it'd be good to have a way to get the exhaust fumes out if I'm actually working on a running vehicle. Summertime, I mean, obviously just open the door or back it right out. But in the wintertime, I'm here in Maine and it gets quite cold. So you don't want to have the door open in the middle of the winter. You know, and I've been able to avoid just doing that type of work so far, but it would be nice to have it. So if I use this system where it vents out of the building now, I can hook onto the end of the duct system and just put a hose over the exhaust pipe, and it'll just suck all the fumes right out. So I can actually do running engine tune-up type stuff inside the shop at that point. The other thing that I want to use it for is welding, and I've really wanted to do this for quite some time because particularly stick welding, but also if I'm working with aluminum, I just don't want the aluminum fumes when I'm trying to weld. And it does build up in this, even though this is a good sized shop, it does build up really fast when the doors are closed. So what I'm going to do is do some kind of drop hood that I can just hang right in this region where I do most of my welding, and I'll put the blower on and weld underneath here, and it should suck all the fumes and pump it right out of the building. So I think that covers it for now. I just give a little bit of an update of what's happening here. I am going to be, our winter leagues at the Blaines are going to be starting up here pretty soon, so that is going to slow me down a little bit because I will get busy with that. And it means that means that I'll have less time to work in the shop. But I'm going to try and continue doing some stuff and posting videos. And I already have a good bit of video to work on. Like I said, I've got stuff from the Fiero. If it does get too slow that I can't get in here to do new work, I'll start working on editing all the video from the electric car project, and I'll be putting some stuff up for you.